A very important video was sent to me this morning by a friend of mine, and it is that I want to read to you because it is in Spanish, and people like to hear things in their own language, so I thought I would read it to you, everything that he says on the video, which you can also watch because I'm putting its URL address in the information section, because you will want to see what this young man has to say. He is one of these Indigo children, and he has been gifted to remember things. And I listened to what he had to say, and I really resonated with it. Anyway, this is a website I'm on right now that has the transcription. And this young man's name, I probably am going to pronounce this wrong. It's Matias-De-Stefano. I did pronounce that wrong, I'm sure. Now, narrator says, how does the universe work? Does good and bad exist? Do we really know all of humanity's history? How did the human being appear? Does God exist? What is the spirit? What is going to happen in 2012? Who are the Indigo children? Did Atlantis exist? Where do we come from? Where are we going? What is the meaning of it all? Imagine there were an explanation to all these questions for all that happens, an explanation that unites science and faith, that could explain both physical and spiritual. Imagine that someone begins to remember that conception of the universe, and that person remembers his life and other lives before being born. He remembers people, remembers beings, remembers missions and aims, and remembers the structure of everything we know, think, and feel as the universe. This is a summary of the basic concepts of our existence, how we are made, how our context works, the truths and structures of the things we think we understand, about the great importance of things we ignore in life. Okay, and here's a picture of him. Who am I? My name is Matias-De-Stefano. I am 22 years old, and I'm from Bernardo, Tronto, I can't pronounce it, Argentina. And my purpose is to remember. Since I was 3 years old, I began to remember things before I was born to help me organize people. We are able to remember when we activate a part of our brain that unites us with all of the cosmic memory. Everyone can do it, but some of us are specialized in it. We are allowed to remember historical events that have occurred before what humanity knows, and all the universal memory to understand today the processes of the planet and humanity. At the beginning, the memories were mild, which I used to show and tell stories to my friends for them to enjoy. But after the remembering process began to be harsher, because I started to have a lot of headaches up to the point that I had to bang my head for the pain to go away, one image after another would appear, such as sentimental memories and pain. I would write about this information and these images through pictures and notes the way many beings who I could see told me to do. These are beings that are with us, with all of us, but some of us have the capacity to see them, and they helped me to organize this information, to know how to use it. Really, I always took it as something normal. I didn't see it as anything strange until I was about 14 years old, when I realized I was conscious of things that the rest of the people didn't realize. And in my context, the people didn't really know it because it was something normal. until I was about 13 or 14 years old. The only person I shared this information with was my mom. She knew everything that was happening, although she didn't understand anything I was talking about, because in my family nobody understood anything about this. She comprehended me, she accepted that this was happening to me, and she was the most important support I had to be able to not suffer the remembering. Really, at the beginning, the aim wasn't very clear. I even used to doubt if I was schizophrenic because of all the things I could remember, because sometimes it didn't have a lot of meaning. There were a lot of loose memories, and I thought it was to allow me to tell stories, to write, live, and eat from selling books. I didn't understand very well what it was for. What I did know is that it used to drive me to desperation, and it had a lot of relation with something that was going to happen in my future life, although later on, when the information started to organize itself in my mind, I started to realize that it was going to allow me to help other people to organize their information. Cosmic information, terrestrial information, spiritual information. Everything matched together, and a lot of things could be explained through simple things I could remember. Narrator. Amongst many other things, Matías can remember Psionic, which is a language which he has been allowed to remember to explain and understand the cosmological history in a close and familiar way to the people who once spoke about these subjects. Its origin goes back to the year 9000 BC and was organized by priests who lived on the current Egyptian coast with the aim to make people from different languages, beliefs, and cultures able to understand each other in a nation of freedom. My mission. What I have come to say with my memories, the message for the people, is not really a message. The only thing I can tell them is to calm down, because we are on the right path. What I can tell the people in the best way possible is to organize their information, without saying really anything new, although for many it's very new, without all the complexity of the human knowledge, in a more simple way, in an easier way of understanding, through simplicity, explaining clearer the historical events, destroying the myths that make humanity live in desperation at the moment. The reason why I can remember is because in my position before I was born, because of my position. Actually, many of the children that are born now are able to remember, although they are not able to remember most of the things, the general knowledge of things. They can remember their previous lives, where they came from which sun, why they came. But I could remember the general knowledge of things, of history, cosmology, because I used to work in what is known on Earth as the Central Akashic Records, which I used to call, when I was a boy, I can't pronounce that word, Thematoriga. Well, now the narrator speaks, I can't pronounce that word, but it is Psionic. In Psionic language is the place that all call Central Akashic Records. The records of information is what Matthias calls the spinal cord of God. Akashic is a word with Sanskrit origins, which is used to refer to a cosmic plan which works as a file where all events, situations, emotions, and actions of a being are recorded. That's where all the history of the planet is registered, as well as all the personal history of each of us. In these files, the purpose of life and the program of our destiny according to karma, our learning experiences, are registered. Now back to him speaking. My job was to work with large amounts of information. That's why it didn't affect me that much to remember. Many who begin to remember when young may end up autistic, schizophrenic, or may even die before 13. But because I knew how to work with this information, they allowed me to remember more and more. And although I suffered a lot from the age between 13 and 17, I was able to control and organize it. The things I could remember at the beginning were my previous lives, but soon they began to expand a lot. And some of the things I have come to organize and to speak about goes back even to the beginning of the souls, back to the creation of what we know as God, the different humanities from the stars, talking about the confederations of the galaxy and all that, the waves of souls that were born in the different worlds, how reincarnation works, what are the systems, the laws of the cosmos, also about the history of humanity, especially the unknown history.